option. Sliced. And what about toppings? One last ripeness check. One cut. I know, coming by work on my day off, but I couldn't resist seeing how your first shift by yourself is going. Probably not the same without me working here today, I know. But all jokes aside, everything going all right? Well, I don't want to keep you too long. You've got a lot of hungry Pokemon out there, it looks like, and we don't want that line to build, so I'll just have the usual, and I'm going to go enjoy my day off. What do you mean you're not ready? We went over all of the training yesterday. I thought we had everything prepared. You're lucky I like you, and you're lucky that I'm here. I'm going to help you out and cover for you today, but tomorrow you're going to have to do it by yourself. I'm not coming in 2 days in a row on my day off, so I'll help you out today. I'll take all of the orders and walk you through all of the prep work again, and we'll get you ready. All right. You owe me. Just make sure you don't wake Boss's Bulbasaur up today, though. Just try to be quiet with the dishes during closing. You know how grumpy he gets when his Bulbasaur doesn't get the proper nap. So, all right. First things first. Let's check the bananas that you've prepped. Make sure that the ripeness is how Boss wants them. It's his business, after all, so we've got to make sure that everything's right. Well, looks like you picked a decent bunch. Right, well, at least you remembered that. We don't want them too green, but not overly ripe. As long as you see just a bit of green there near the stem, that's usually just right. Have a little bit of browning there, but yeah, the selection today was a bit slim. Well, with the summer season, a lot of the stands are really popular right now, but not as popular as this one. I can promise you that. Well, yeah, well, you do want the really ripe ones if you're doing the berry cream shake, because they just blend a little bit better. That's right. All right. Let me just look over these a little bit. I'll hurry go as quickly as I can. I'll get that first order taken. I can't believe you're so nervous for your first shift. What could go wrong? Just a hungry Snorlax out there or something. I'm joking. All right. I think these are perfect. So let me get that first order taken for you and we'll get started. All right. How can we help you? Okay. So you want one banana, half banana. Okay. Do you want that? All right. In a bowl, sliced. So bowl option. Sliced. And what about toppings? Okay, so you would like caramel drizzle and toffeed pecans. Good choice. That's one of our specialties. Anything else? All right, we will get that ready as quickly as possible. Okay, so we'll go ahead and walk through everything once again. So we have 1/2 banana sliced. Make sure you always ask if they'd like it whole or sliced. Bowl option, so they will probably sit down at the table out there. Sliced caramel drizzle and toffee to pecans. Make sure you always ask for the topping options because sometimes they get a bit excited and forget. So let's go ahead and prep a banana. Perfect. All right, so we do have one last ripeness check. Just a few taps. We should have any soft spots that will need to be cut out, or if you can feel a lot of them immediately, then you would just want to throw that one out. Just remember, boss wants perfection, so if you want to rise up the ranks here at Bulba's Bananas, then gotta make sure you don't cut any corners. This one feels fine. Okay, so let's get that cutting board ready. And for the half bananas, I always like to go for just a bit of a smaller knife. Just gets a bit more precision. So, get that started. Let's get that banana peeled. Perfect. And just discard that. All right. So, since I did kind of smash that end, we will go ahead and use the other end. So, one cut. Place the other side over on the side. Make sure you never waste. We'll use those later. And we want rather sort of thin slices, but not too thin that they can't be picked up with a fork or utensil. Those are about perfect. You did wash your hands, correct? Okay, great. All right, there we are. Now, the bowl, make sure you always get a clean glass bowl. I know we went over all this yesterday, but clearly we need a recap. So let's go ahead and get our tongs. All right, and you want to make sure that you don't have all of the bananas just flat in the bowl. That makes them a bit harder to pick up. Remember, we want to make a base 3 bananas always, and then start lining them around the edge of the bowl. It makes the drizzle just a bit more even and allows for toppings to be more readily dispersed among the banana slices. That one was being a bit tricky. Alright, so we have a nice kind of layering. We want a bit of texture in the bowl, not just one flat mass of banana. Okay, so let's go ahead. As you can see there, we have a nice layering to where that drizzle can kind of fall in between the 2 banana slices. That way it's not all just sitting on top, and then you have a lot of plain bananas on the bottom. So see how that's done? And we'll walk through that more and more as you work. Okay, great. So we have our sliced. Now let's get the drizzle. Always use our caramel drizzle. It can be a bit sticky, so just make sure that we don't do too much. We just want a nice, drizzle across the entirety of the banana. We never cross-stitch the drizzle. Single line drizzle. Alright? Once again, you don't really need to squeeze. Let it just naturally fall out. And then the remainder, you just kind of want to get that swirling motion. Cap the lid. Make sure you always wipe your hands. That way you don't get any of the sticky residue on the outside of the bowl. That always makes the customers a bit irritated. Now we have our toffeed pecans. These are delicious. And don't ever let boss see you do this, but you can always maybe snack on a few here and there. Always get a bit of a mix before you try to take them out, because that toffee does tend to make them stick together. It can make it difficult to pick up just one or two. Alright, remember, for a half banana slice, we always go 4 pieces, no more, no less. Remember, perfection. One thing I actually want to point out, do you see how that caramel drizzle has actually seeped down in between all of those banana slices? It's kind of dispersed evenly. That's how you know you did a perfect job. Alright, so we want to make these look nice. So 1, 2, 3, and that one was a bit off. 4. Alright, let's set that to the side. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, let's go ahead and give this to the customer. That wonderful executor there. Alright. Executor, here is your sliced half banana caramel drizzle, toffee pecans. Please enjoy. Alright, happy customer. Any questions on any of the details of that? Okay, great. Always make sure you throw away your previous ticket so that you don't get confused and make the wrong order. I've done that a time or two. Alright, let me go ahead and take our next order and see what we need. Alright. Hang tight. Oh, welcome. What can we get for you? Okay, a full banana. So we have a full order. Would you like that bowl or plated? Plated, great. Enjoying the weather today. That's excellent. Alright, and what types of toppings would you like that full or sliced, actually? Full, okay. Alright, toppings. You would like, okay, no drizzle, but you would like whipped cream. And maraschino cherries. Perfect. And that's a great choice. Would you like sprinkles on that? No extra charge. Sprinkles. Alright, coming right up. Okay, so did you see what I did right there? You can always try to add a few flavor options or additives like sprinkles there. They're cheap for us and they make the display nice and they really make the customer feel special that we offered something free of charge, and we get a lot of return customers that way. Alright, just little tricks of the trade right there. Alright, so we have a full banana plated uncut. We have whipped cream, maraschino cherries, and sprinkles. So let's go ahead and get our plate here. We just have our custom plates here, which are really nice, crafted here in the seaside village. Let's find the perfect banana. For the full bananas, you want to try to get the ones that are just that medium ripeness. There we are. And a peel. So, as you can see here, if we do unfortunately get a break, then we don't want to throw those bananas out. Usually the customer understands that sometimes those things happen, so we still prepare it the same way. They just want to be able to eat it in larger slices, things like that, or maybe carry it with them and eat it with a fork. So not a problem, don't fret if that happens. So now let's get our whipped cream, just your standard whipped cream. Always get a bit of a shake before you try to spray any of it. Alright, that should do. And we just want to go, same thing, zigzag pattern over the banana. Like so. Perfect. Not too much. Enough to where you can still see the banana and any of the other toppings that we had. Now, next, the maraschino cherries. A classic ingredient. Alright, a small fork. Now, always be careful with these because that juice does stain quite a bit. So you don't want to transfer that to another dish. Okay, so it's best to scoop. Always use a fork, that way we don't have a situation where the juice is undrained when you pull the cherry out of the jar. We try to just get one cherry for each one of those loops. I always start it onto the banana and let it fall off. That way you get that nice coating there. Same thing as the pecans. We want 4 cherries. No more, no less. Perfect. And always make sure that the lid is securely fitted. You don't want to spill this. It can create quite the mess. There we are. All right, and last but not least, the sprinkles. Once again, just get a gentle shake. Sometimes with the humidity and heat of the coastal areas here, these can get a bit sticky and clump together, so you want to make sure that you prepare them nicely. That way they fall evenly and are nicely dispersed. No, the customers don't mind a bit of preparation time. They know the quality and they know the reputation that this banana stand has. Alright, that should do. And just a gentle shake along the full dessert. And then one flurry across. Excellent. All right. And that should do it. All right. Your order is ready. Please enjoy. All right. Any questions on that prep? A bit simpler than the sliced pecan option in the bowl, but still important and one of our staples. Let's try on this next customer. If it seems fitting, let's try to upsell a bit for our new special, which is the Tropical Tropius. Sometimes people just want to stick to our standard bananas, but we're really trying to push some of our smoothies and shakes, right, to compete a bit with the Squirtle Slushy Shack. Yeah, well, it's an uphill battle, but it's never a bad thing to add some new products. Oh, I hear a customer approaching now. Let's take that order and see if we can upsell just a bit. Hello, how are you doing? Excellent. Hungry and enjoying the sunshine. We have the perfect thing. What can I get you? Might I suggest that you try one of our new specials, the Tropical Tropius? My friend here makes the best one in town. Not in the mood for a drink? Oh, you have a water there. Excellent. Well, not a problem. What can we get you? Ah, a double order. All right, for you and a friend. Perfect. So, would you like 2 fulls or 2 halves? All right, so 2 half orders. Bowl or plated? Plated. Excellent. Sliced or whole? Sliced. And toppings. All right, so you would like chocolate drizzle, caramel drizzle as well, toffee pecans. Excellent choice. Whipped cream. Going for the works today, I see. An excellent, excellent choice. Quite delicious. And sprinkles, no extra charge. Sprinkles. Can I get you anything else? Perfect. All right, coming right up. Okay, so we have got our work cut out for us this time. So this is quite common this time of year. We have friends in town, or Pokemon have partners with them, or trainers, things like that. So they'll order 2 orders, and you always want to make sure that you offer the bowl option, but a lot of times they'll still take the plated option. Now, we have quite a few toppings. So we have plated, sliced, chocolate drizzle, caramel drizzle, toffee pecans, whipped cream, and sprinkles. All right, let's get rid of that previous order. And let's begin. Let's get an additional banana here. And a peel. All right, almost forgot our plates. So we have 1 and 2, but we want to make sure that we leave room for our cutting board. All right, we have a knife at the ready and our banana. Let's get the remainder of that peeling off, and no need to worry about any breakage there. We want to get a nice even slice. You don't want one friend receiving a larger serving than the other. Right there. Excellent. All right, so what I like to do is remove one entirely from the equation and focus on one cut at a time. And perfect. Let's go ahead and prepare that first plate just to make room here on our board. And with the plate, it's a bit more difficult to get as even as a coating on your drizzle, but we'll do our best. We kind of want to maintain that circular pattern and then almost build it up with a layer or 2 if possible. So with that second layer, you can kind of angle it like so. Just do your best to get it even. Not too bad. Almost a flower pattern there. Now let's get our second serving here. What's that? Yes, they just pay there at the kiosk outside of the stand. We just like to focus on the art of preparation and let the nuanced methods of payment collecting be done by a machine. All right, let's ready this second serving here. Perfect. Try to make it look as even as your first serving. When giving 2 servings to one customer, you want to make sure that they look as identical as possible. There's always a bit of room for error, but that's the beauty of preparing things with your hands. There's always that human touch, or Pokemon touch. There are some great Pokemon ran establishments here on the boardwalk. Excellent. All right, let's remove that and get ready. So we always prepare the ingredients in the order in which they were requested. So chocolate first, same thing. An even coating, don't squeeze, let it just simply fall out, and the excess swirled. Second serving. Beautiful. And excess swirl. Excellent. And next we have the caramel drizzle, a personal favorite of mine. And if we do 2 separate drizzles, we always go cross stitch. Like I said, never cross stitch with a singular drizzle. But if we have dual drizzle, then it is appropriate rather. All right, and swirl. Looking great. All right, and they needed the toffee pecans next. Once again, make sure you get just a brief swirl to ensure that they're not stuck together. And 4 per. Once again, without the bowl, you just try to do the best you can to make it symmetrical. If you do have a small pecan that falls out there, then of course don't fret about that. Those small ones, we just count those as extra for the customer. And trust me, I've never had someone complain about getting one small too many pecans. Especially these toffee pecans. Excellent. All right, and next, whipped cream. So with a plated option, we just do a small dollop right here on the top. Like so. And last but not least, the sprinkles once again. Just ensure that they're not stuck together. And as before, a gentle application. And a flurry back across. Perfect. A delicate pour. Beautiful. That is a masterpiece, if I do say so myself. Any questions? Okay, let's get these out to that hungry customer. The dual order is ready. Perfect. Please enjoy. Well, it looks like it's almost time for your break, right? Okay, great. Just make sure you always flip the closed sign and close these shutters there on the stand. That way people don't try to come up and order while you're on your break. That's a perfect time for me to get on with my day off. Do you think you can manage everything from here? Oh, let me throw away that ticket. Okay, just give me a ring on your Pokegear if you have any questions. I'll do my best to swing by if I can. Alright, well, hang in there. You've got this. And enjoy. It's a beautiful day. Alright, we'll see you, well, I guess not tomorrow, but the next day when I'm back at work. Alright, have a great day.